Are you
Yeah.
a fan of Braunwyn? I feel like everybody hates Braunwyn right now.
Oh, this is exactly what I'm talking about. That second season Housewife.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, this is exactly it. The first season, oh, it's refreshing. Oh, we needed her. Oh, we love her. And then the second season, now, for a lot of different reasons, second season Housewives tend to, like, it's like whatever the persona they were trying to portray, you can't keep it up forever. It's just impossible. And it's not that I think that the persona that she gave us in her first season was one thing and the second season was another thing. I genuinely think that there's a major, major shift to her personality. And the first season, she was drinking. The second season, not only was she not drinking, she decided to detox days before filming, which God bless you, I could not do it. I mean, great for you. But I watch Housewives and sometimes need to drink, right? Like, that's how stressed I am. I can't imagine filming it. I'm talking about 43 minutes of content with commercial breaks. And I'm like, ooh, I need a shot. Like, especially with Kelly Dodd and you have Emily Simpson. They're very opinionated. They're very strong-willed individuals. Shayna's crying all the goddamn time. Like, there's a lot there. And then she decides to explore her sexuality. And then there's a lot of kids. And then she's in the house. And I'm like, to me, the formula was always going to be very trying. It felt like a lot. I am a fan of Brahman as the person. We've been able to correspond very cordially and lovingly over DM and stuff, in text message. I do think that on TV, I get it. And I don't think that I don't like to ever blame editing. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can edit what you say. It's like you said
Right.
it, you know what I mean? And I think that's the thing. But the problem I have is, as much as I do love and I have a respect for Bronwyn, we've worked, on some things together, and I really appreciate that. I think that being sober, it's really hard to watch on television for anybody, and I think that's one of the reasons why I really want Dorinda to go and like clean herself up, and I would love to see her back because I think that the genuine part of Dorinda that we love is still there. I think we don't know what that is in Bronwyn yet because we've never seen sober Bronwyn. We've
Right.
seen drunk or drinking Bronwyn, and we've seen sobering Bronwyn. And sobering up is messy. I've had a few family members get sober, and what people don't realize is, like, we're in a society where social media, we're always like, it's okay not to be okay, and put the drink down, girl, you're doing great, and like, yes, sober. Like, we all celebrate it when it's like a Canva post, like it's
Right.
like a tweet. But then we see what it looks like messy, and all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, why are they like that? And you have no idea what is going on in their head and their heart. And then life is stressful. And the vices that we even think about, they can't even think about anymore. And there's a lot of changes. I like to often akin it to Lala Kent, Vanderpump Rules, when she was
Yes.
grieving, and then she like yelled at not I want to call this girl Raquel, because I'm like, Bambi eyed bitch. What's her name? Raquel. And but that to me was a dark, dark, dark moment because
Yes.
I'm like, she didn't give a fuck where she was, who hurt her, who she was around, the fact that she was on the clock, the fact that she was working, the fact that this is a patron and not like just her cast member. None of those things existed. And she was truly unleashing on this individual for just being there. And I think that that's something that people don't recognize is that when you are sobering, when you're going through something, when you have a major life transition, you need time to mellow out. And she didn't take any of it. And then there was a pandemic and there was a quarantine. And honestly, I get why people have a lot of feelings because that's a lot of things to go like, to all come into play at one time. And it doesn't help, obviously, that the cast is like, oh, we all hate her. Okay, great. Good on that. We can all band together. So this happens in Beverly Hills. They all figure out who we don't like and we jump on that all on the same side. And I think that OC was a tough one. I wouldn't really recommend filming while detoxing on the same time, but as Braun is the person I respect and I like, and I think that as a housewife, I'd like to see her not sobering. I'd like to see her like now.
What do you think of her coming out so publicly so quickly after renewing her vows to her husband. And now they're in this like very interesting place where she has a new girlfriend, but yet at the same time, she said that she isn't attracted to men anymore, but she's staying committed to her husband. And she would have an issue if he were to date other women, but she's now with a girlfriend and now he's been photographed out. And it's like a really complicated situation between her and Sean.
Yeah, I think, marriage is tough. I'm about to enter one. God bless me. But to be fair, when she first got on this show, my gaydar went up, especially as a lesbian. I said, I don't think she loved a man like that. I think she loved him.
Yeah.
I think she loves that he is the father of all her children. And I think she has a love for him because he gave her children. And it's like, I have obviously questioned my sexuality, and I didn't have to think about how could I not be attracted to men when I've had babies. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I've been able to do this. And then what does that mean? There's a lot of guilt that's written with that because my parents are divorced. And I know how much guilt my mother felt just for simply thinking to herself that she wanted something other than my father, like just a different lifestyle, like another man, but just I don't want to be married to him anymore. And she instantly felt guilt. She still talks about it to this day. She still feels guilty. When I'm like, girl, I'm better off. Trust me. Like, release yourself from him. But I think that marriage is interesting. I think their marriage is the most of interesting. But I will say, when she said that she would be heartbroken if Sean dated another person, I think for me, I think that got misconstrued because I don't think it would be like you can't date other people. I think it would be all too real to her that
Right.
she, in living her truth, broke up her family, for lack of better words, like quote unquote. Like it would be super real that after 20 something years, this little home that she thought she could like make work is no longer. It's dissolved because at that point it's gone. It's real. And I think that living your truth, you sometimes don't always think about what it means for the other person and how
Right.
they will end up living their truth as well. And I think that's the realization that took her a minute, to kind of come around to. And what I will say is, officially, I know there's lots of rumors of what happens between her and Sean and his allegedly having a girlfriend. I can say that they are very happy with each other. Like I know that for a fact. And they are both allowed to date other people. That is official from them. Like she understands that people think that she's like gonna like go ham if he dates someone else. It's not the case. They're both allowed to date other people, but at the moment, that's not what happened. So it's a lot of things. I think that for me, I think that moving on with a girlfriend is very quick into sobriety. She just got sober. But what I will say is, this is the most lesbian thing you can do. Like the whole joke is, what do you bring to a second date with another woman? It's
A
a U-Haul.
U-Haul.
Like,
Yeah.
of course she's in love now. Of course, honey. Like, are you kidding? I'm surprised they haven't decided to, wedding vow themselves. Like, I think that also when you are trying to find sobriety and definitely when you're trying to figure out your sexuality, you do try to hold on to the good happy feelings that you have, and renewing your vows, that's a good happy feeling.
Yeah.
That's when you don't feel guilty about shaking anything up. It shows your kids especially that you are committed and everything's good, and you're trying to hold on to that happy feeling so that you can kind of push away that nagging feeling that you did something else and something else needs to be happening, because you really don't want to think that there is something better than the life you created. Like you did this, right? Like you
Right.
made these kids, you had this marriage, and how dare me think that I deserve something better? It's like, oh no, like you don't want to blow it all up. So I get it, because I mean, again, I come from a family of divorced parents, and I've seen a lot of the same behaviors, minus sobriety or being sober and drinking, minus questioning your sexuality. I think that she just felt like she needed to answer for people, but again, me, when she first came on the scene, I was like, the way she was talking about Tamara, honey, I was like, I didn't see that same excitement when he came to the Boom Boom townhouse or condo. And she was there, but she and Tamara had a nice little thing going.
What does your gaydar say about Sean?
No, that's not my department, Zach. That's not my area. That's not my area of expertise. But I mean, she said that every time there was a big birthday for him, and this is like her way probably of making it okay for herself, is that every time it was him, if it was what he wanted, which is, it's like, let me put it on this person, that we got with another woman. But maybe Sean just likes to dip, dab, and do. Maybe he likes to be into whatever she is into. I think that I understand when people feel like they say, free Sean or whatever. Like, they don't recognize that he's very much a participant of his marriage to Braunwyn.
Right.
They are very much so partners. He is very aware of what's happening. He does not feel trapped. Again, like I said, officially, they are allowed to date other people, no matter what people think that they, heard her say or whatever. But I do think that he is a good man. Like, I get why people think that, that he needs some kind of rescuing, because he seems very supportive, and you want to make sure that he's happy because she's able to live her life so out loud.
Right.
And we don't know that of him. But at the same time, he signed up to support her for the show, but he himself is not a housewife. So we don't watch his stories all day
right.
and care about him. But he also doesn't have the personality to do that. Like, that's not his calling,
true. And I think it is a little, when you're like putting this social media free Sean, campaign online, it like takes away from thinking that he has a mind of his own and that he couldn't willingly, as a grown man, choose to stay in this relationship with the woman that he loves that's still the mother of his children.
Right. And quite frankly, I mean, if we just go simply regressive, old school housewives, if he really didn't like it, he could Simon Barney this thing, right? He could leave. She is the housewife, and the whole premise of Housewives is like they don't have a spotlight until they're on this show. They're always the supporting character, and people are looking into who he is. He could instantly be like, you know what, I want to go find someone else. I want to be out here. He could do it. He could absolutely be in these streets if he wanted to be in these streets. Okay, he does not have to be supportive of her. He didn't have to do anything. Like, I don't think that Braunwyn is holding a gun to anyone's head. But also, I don't think that he wouldn't willingly just be like, no. Like, he could leave. I do believe he could go. He has free will.
I get that. The only part I will say now, just kind of having this conversation, and one thing I don't think I've really opened up much about is my situation with my mother is very similar to Braunwyn's situation, where my mother was in a marriage, and then eventually, things changed, the tide turned. She's now been in a relationship with her partner for the past 10 years. We became one big blended Brady Bunch family. And like, I remember at the beginning, it was just very different. For me, it was different because it was like my stepfather was a man that was like part of my life for 10 years, that like, I just remember it was just very different now, seeing my mother so quickly be like with her husband, and then now with, this other woman. And then like, it happened so quickly. And I understand that there were a lot of things she did to try and make it normal for the kids, for all of us.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think there was this point of, and I don't know if he's in this or the kids are in this, but like this place of like, we're just going to act like everything is normal to make it feel more normal, so that it doesn't feel like such a polarizing shift for all of us, or at least for me. And so I can see if he's kind of caught up in that, where he just is like, I want to be supportive. Like, what I will say for people that are judging them in their relationship is it's a very complicated situation, and there are so many layers and so many emotions.
So many kids.
And so many kids. And with all of the kids, like, I know what it was like for us. Not saying that it was bad, but it was just different, and it was polarizing, and it came with a load of emotions that I couldn't imagine going through it publicly like this.
Yeah.
And then
with so many kids, again, my mom, when she started dating men again, I flipped out. I was pissed. And I didn't even want my parents together. I thought they were not meant to be together. I didn't like it. And I was like, this is just disrupting my entire life. And no matter how much she was like, well, Imani, I need to live my life, and I'm doing my best, and I just want you to be happy. And she tried to do things to make sure I felt better. And it just never felt like enough. So I get what you're saying, but like, and imagine they have to consider 7 times that. So it's like, if it's cool for 6, but not for 2, or for 5 and not for 2, they still have to reconfigure how to do this for the 2. And I think that that's also why they're not trying to hastily move out or hastily get a divorce, because it means something. They have young kids too. Like, that's a lot. And there's so much uncertainty right now with COVID and, with especially being in California and politically and their child's, sexuality and their child's like living their life out loud. And then another child's mental health and everything is so public that, again, they didn't sign up for these kids. And now no matter what Braunwyn and Sean do, that these kids are always going to be under this microscope no matter what. Even if they fall out, there's always going to be somebody who's checking their stories, someone who's looking at something. And there's a lot of things to consider. And I mean, shout out to parents out there because y'all make a lot of hard decisions. I could not. I can't think about that many people at one time. When my now fiance decided to go back to school, I was like, all right, I'm out. I'm going to go where she is. Like, I just left. And my mom was like, what about me? And I was like, what about you? But if my mom ever just left me, I would die. So it's a lot. And I think that your story, that is so really nail on the head. That's insane, like how similar it is, but
no,
it's
it
a
is.
perspective that people don't consider. These are real kids.
Yeah, and my stepfather was the one going through his sobriety, and like there are so many parallels between their situation and our situation. I have a lot more empathy for them, but then at the same time, I'm just like, oh, but like for Sean, because like I know how difficult it was for like my stepfather, and then it was just again, there are just so many emotions that like everyone, I just want to be a little more respectful and empathetic for everything that they're all going through. Whether people think that she's doing a lot of this for attention or not, just know that there are so many other people involved in it.
Well, may I just say to people who think that, it does always seem like the catch-22 of viewers because we absolutely hate we call every housewife narcissistic.
Yeah.
And then we say they're doing things for attention. But
Yeah.
then the moment they're too normal, like the amount of times I've heard people say, I don't like Dr. Wendy on Potomac because she's too normal. That's like, so which is it, girl? Because y'all hate Candace for being too much.
Yeah.
But you hate Dr. Wendy for not being enough. Like, where is the middle? Like, there is no middle. It does take a certain kind of person to be on Housewives. That's all I'm saying.